Good morning.
I was checking out my mojo, you know. So,
Your what?
my mojo, like.
Yes, that's a balance.
Morning. How you doing? Trust you're fine. If you're feeling lazy, it's beginning to get cold again. You know, yeah. If you're
really,
if you're feeling lazy, please
it's
get
actually
up.
warmer.
Get up and get.
No, but I mean, Thursday is a bad time to feel lazy because Friday is coming and you have just one day or two to be effective. So at least gather all the energy you can, end it right, and then you can go and relax.
Maybe yesterday you were stressed at work, so today it's getting lazy.
There's certainly no breaks on that because someone is paying for you to be productive. Even besides that, you want to make Ghana a better one, so you need to put in everything.
Speaking of that, there was a video on social media, or specifically Twitter. I don't know whether, Johnny, you saw it.
Okay.
We're not sure exactly which outfit she works for, but she was checking the passport and documents, and she had her phone.
Oh, yeah.
And for about 5 minutes, she was checking the passport like that while she was.
But I'm not. I mean, why are we surprised?
We were not surprised. We were not surprised, but it was just very obvious. You know, it's something we experienced, and it was just in your face.
But it's more obvious in public offices. You get there, you are asking a question, and the person is looking down on their phone, or even receiving a phone call asking you to wait.
That has nothing to do with her work. That's even the worst part.
It's absolutely unrelated, and it's very bothering because the least you could do is respect that there's a human being in front of you. Ask for permission to continue your phone call because it may be urgent. We don't know who you're talking to on the other side. Agreed. But I think it's just nice and right and respectful enough to accord that human being some respect and say, please give me a minute, I'm on the phone, I'll get back to you. And
but you know, some companies actually ban the usage of phones during working hours because it's very easy to get distracted. And she was on Facebook, then she swapped to WhatsApp. And I think the worrying part for me was she was checking documents, which she needed a bit more attention for.
Okay.
You could see from the crown at the back of the passport it's a Nigerian thing.
Right.
You know, the Nigerian crown has that
eagle. The eagle, the two eagles.
So, but I think that for me, I mean, if I'm a private person and I have a business and I'm employing you, I'll tell you straight there and then that, hey, when you start work at 8 o'clock, you can't take your phone where you're working.
Unless
you either come and take the job or you go and sit on your phone and do whatever you want to do.
I don't know. I mean,
I think we should enforce it. In as much as it helps to work better, sometimes you need some information on it. But in some other instances, it's a real nuisance.
Right.
Yeah, and so I guess they need to take a look at it.
Now, today, when we're launching or we're unveiling the new districts to add up to the 216, I think this is very timely indeed. Because I've always said,
for me,
set up the new districts, set up the new regions. If you stifle them with funds, you don't have the right people working there, it will be zero.
And if the people also stifle themselves with creativity, that's another part, because sometimes the funds really may be lacking because we know our resources when it comes to fiscal cash is, you know, scarce. But at least when these people become creative enough to improvise or do certain things within their means, then we all benefit. But when you're always waiting for the money factor, then we really won't get anything.
I had a chat with
you cannot improvise when it is not
when there's no money, it's not there.
It's okay. See, under the law, in setting up a district, certain things have to be there. Okay, there should be an office to house officers of the state. Okay, there should be a district hospital. In some instances, they are not there. You see, for me, my point is that 12 years ago, you set up a district in the Upper West region that had no offices for the officers. So they were working from the regional capital. Today, you are setting up new districts when you have not even fixed the problems with the old one. So it becomes, I don't know, sometimes you go and ask and they tell you, oh, let us give them the official law to say that they are district, and then gradually they build up. But I tell you, it doesn't happen. They struggle and struggle and struggle and struggle.
It doesn't happen. Look, the other time I had a chat with one of the guys at the sub-metro, not in the district, but the sub-metro, within the AMA. And he says, look, all the IGF, for example, property rates and everything else that they collect from within their area, goes all the way to the AMA, which is the district. And to get even a portion of that back to work in their sub-metro is a problem. And so sometimes when you put in the application, they tell you, they have identified this problem in this other sub-metro and they need to deal with it. So the question is, if the people in a particular sub-metro, I mean, have high-rise buildings, have what have you, and are paying all their monies, and they expect to see development right where they are, their doorstep, and you are taking the money elsewhere. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. So, well, we're starting the new districts, and the president had told us in the 2016 electioneering period that we're going to start voting for DCs and MCs because the bill will be taken to Parliament and all of that. I want to see that the deadline was in 2018. I don't want it to be like the national ID system. I want to see us voting for these people. Because, you know, the chief executive officer or the DCE doesn't report to the people that they govern. They report to the president. So even if they are doing everything that's wrong, they're detached from the in any case, if the DCs are loggerheads with the MP,
there's always a problem.
Then that becomes another problem.
There's no development at all.
Charlie, these UCG guys, what they're saying, is it prudent that they can't start the tariffs today? Is it today?
It's a monthly
it's
supposed
to be today.
They don't do,
and it took them all this period of the announcement to tell us yesterday that they can't start today.
So when the PRC announced, when the president said it, ECG had been silent all the while.
Maybe they were trying to fix it.
Is this another the inconvenience caused is deeply regretted? Is this another?
It certainly is, because you were expecting something different, but they have caused the second.
For me, it is strange. This thing was announced some weeks ago. So why has it taken a ECG a whole
the same time it has taken ECG to give the subsidy that they should have to people in areas such as Kaneshi. Yes. So why are you surprised?
Anyway, William Watson.
Any inconvenience caused.
William Watson, good morning to you. And I don't know.
That's what this your good morning suspect.
This good morning is suspect because you for bring that thing. You know, anyway. But guys, Asempa says I should tell all of you. Asempa on FM.
Okay.
Says I should tell you that there's a barbecue happening today at 4 p.m.
All right.
We'll be there.
At the radio department.
Okay.
You know, at radio we do things.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
You are an alumnus of the radio department.
Let's talk about that.
Bright kid and you run away.
Right here on NewDay on TV3. Good morning once again. My name is Solis Rose Corte. It's now time for me to run by you some news updates. Let's start with the Electricity Company of Ghana, which says it will only implement the 17.5% reduction announced by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, at the end of this month, instead of the 15th of March as directed by the PURC, which is actually today. At a news conference in Accra, the managing director of the company, Engineer Boakye Appiah, said the ECG has taken this decision due to its billing system, which cannot be adjusted to suit the 15th of March. Consequently, the new tariffs will take effect from the end of March.
The PURC announced a 17.5% reduction for residential and a 30% reduction in tariff for non-residential clients. It again announced a 10% reduction in tariff for companies situated in the mining areas. Engineer Boakye Appiah agreed to implement the new tariff reduction authorized by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, only at the end of this month.
Because of the billing cycle, the prepayment systems have also been programmed in that way. And for that reason, we are saying that when you purchase units for the prepaid, your records will be there. And then on 1st April, when we are doing the computing, it will take that into account and credit you, and you see a reduction in whatever reduction that you deserve would reflect.
Currently, management of ECG is disappointed that it requested for a 100% increase in tariffs but was denied by the PURC. The managing director has indicated plans for assessing the reduction and will petition the PURC if the reduction will have dire consequences on their operations.
If you listen to the PURC announcement carefully, they also said that they were going to apply the automatic adjustment formula. So within this framework, when we have determined the numbers, and if indeed there are losses on our part, we'll go back to them.
Meanwhile, the monument has pleaded with customers to exercise restraint with ECG.
Now let's head to Parliament, where the Minister of State in charge of procurement Wednesday failed to answer questions asked her by a member of Parliament. Now, according to Adjoa Safo, her office does not have the mandate to answer questions on Parliament and procurement issues in Parliament.
MP for Ashaiman, Ernest Nogbe, filed 2 questions to be asked the Minister of State in charge of procurement. The first question was whether, apart from Vocacom, any other company did bid for the Ghana Post GPS. But Adjoa Safo told the MP to direct that question to the Communications Ministry, since her outfit does not undertake procurement for any ministry.
I want to ask the Minister, is she the minister responsible for public procurement or the minister responsible for presidential procurement?
I am the Minister of State in charge of procurement at the presidency. Mr. Speaker, during my vetting and even before my vetting, there was a hula baloo as to the existence of the Public Procurement Authority already and why my office, at my vetting, and His Excellency also in an interview, assured Ghanaians that he is not duplicating responsibilities and that my office is only advisory to advise him on policies and strategies of government on public procurement matters.
The second question posed to her was what procurement method was used by Maslock in awarding the contract worth 28.8 million Ghana cedis to Dextro Impex to supply 1,800 vehicles.
The PPA, as an agency legally placed under the Ministry of Finance, Mr. Speaker, per the definition section of the Public Procurement Act 2003, Act 663, and Act 914 as amended, a minister is defined, Mr. Speaker. A minister means the minister responsible for finance. Mr. Speaker, I take it again. Minister is defined as minister means minister responsible for finance. Hence, in accordance with our standing orders, Order 62 of this House, Mr. Speaker, the question ought to be directed to the Ministry of Finance.
For us to advertise the question and for the minister to then come and then tell the honorable member that he has to then direct the question back to another ministry, Mr. Speaker. I think we should be guided. But, Mr. Speaker, it doesn't make for effective work.
For the sake of assisting the questioner, you don't need to even reapply. I'm helping you by asking the table office to redirect this question to the Honorable Minister for Finance. And that is the end of the matter.
But the Ashaiman MP suggested the procurement office be scrapped if the minister cannot answer questions in Parliament.
I've been saying consistently that some of the ministries created are redundant. They are of no use. And this is clear indication that the Ministry for Public Procurement is redundant. Because if the minister cannot answer questions pertaining to public procurement, then what is the use of that ministry? What is the use of that minister? Therefore, this particular ministry should be scrapped off. It's a burden on the taxpayer.
Parliament resumes sitting Thursday.
The Right to Information Action Campaign Group has activated its countdown clock, giving the government 10 days to get the Right to Information Bill laid before Parliament. The campaign aims at holding the President to honor his pledge to get the bill passed by Parliament before the Easter break.
Dear President, dear Parliament, dear Speaker of Parliament, dear minority and majority leaders in Parliament, please 10 days lay the Right to Information Bill. If you cannot lay it, give the nation a reason why. We don't believe you have a reason. So if you don't lay it, it means you just don't want to lay it. The reason why you don't want to lay it is because you want to hide information. The reason why you want to hide information is because you want to defend and protect corrupt people. And that is because you are nation wreckers. if you are not, lay the RTI bill.
The Right to Information Campaign Action Group argues the bill is long overdue, so they will pressure government to ensure its passage through the House.
We have activated a countdown clock. The President's Independence Day statement on RTI said the bill would be laid and passed before Parliament rises for its meeting. Parliament is due to go on recess before the end of this month. At the minimum, we expect the bill to be laid in Parliament before it goes on recess.
The campaign will also institute an RTI Hall of Shame and Fame where government agencies will be inducted based on how they facilitate access to information for citizens.
There's virtually nothing extra to be done about the document that we have in Parliament. For those who say it needs to be reworked, please, laws have been passed over and again and they are amended in due course. We cannot wait to finish and have what you deem is the best before we can pass it.
It's been 22 years since the first RTI draft bill was drafted under the auspices of the IEA in 1996. It also marks 16 years since the executive arm of government drafted the first RTI bill in 2002. The bill was subsequently reviewed in 2003, 2005 and 2007, but was never laid in Parliament until February 2010. Since then, the RTI bill has witnessed a series of failed promises to pass it from both the NDC and NPP governments. In 2012, the bill lapsed and was relayed in 2016. In the final days of the 6th Parliament, an effort by then Majority Leader Alban Bagbin to have the legislation passed was not successful following objection by the then minority NPP. The NPP government had in its 2016 manifesto promised to pass the bill. On May 3, 2017, the Information Minister Mustafa Hamid declared the bill would be laid by July. Unfortunately, the first year of the Akufo-led government ended with no action. It is in the interest of all citizens to join the campaign because the law will empower the public to demand accountability from our leaders.
I think that we have a bigger job than we think. It's not just doing TV3 News Tonight, anti-RTI campaign. No. We really have to let people understand what we mean by information and why access to same is part of the governance process.
The Right to Information legislation will regulate access to information held by government and public sector officers.
Now, the Attorney General has filed 27 charges, including causing financial loss to the state, against former Chief Executive Officer of Cocoa Board, Dr. Stephen Kwabena Opuni. Joined to the suit is CEO of Zira Group of Companies, Seydou Agongo, and Agricult Ghana Limited.
The three are alleged to have played various roles in a fraudulent contract worth some 43,120,000 Ghana cedis. The contract was effected between the period of 2013 to 2016. The defendants are expected to make their first appearance in court on March 23. In all, the defendant will be answering 27 charges including abetment of crime, defrauding by false pretense, conspiracy to commit crime, and willfully causing financial loss to the state. According to the suit, CEO of Zira Group of Companies, Seydou Agongo, and Agricult Limited falsely obtained the amount between 2013 and November 2014 by representing Cocoa Board to supply Lithovit Fuller fertilizer from Germany for application by farmers on cocoa farms for the 2013-2014 season. The suit further indicates that Dr. Stephen Kwabena Opuni, between November 2014 and November 2015 in Accra in the Greater Accra region, abetted Seydou Agongo and Agricult Ghana Limited to defraud Ghana Cocoa Board of the sum of 75,289,314.72 pesos. Dr. Stephen Kwabena Opuni on the 10th of October 2014 in Accra is said to have allowed himself as CEO of Cocoa Board
to be influenced with an amount of 25,000 Ghana cedis from Seydou Agongo. The state in the suit believes the CEO of COCOBOD failed to satisfy the prescribed conditions for single-source procurement. The state also concluded that Seydou Agongo and Agricult sold misbranded fertilizer contrary to Section 1141B of the Plant and Fertilizer Act 2010, Act 803. Seydou Agongo is also accused of selling adulterated fertilizer contrary to Section 1141C of the Plant and Fertilizer Act 2010, Act 803. In fact, the state accuses Seydou Agongo of manufacturing the fertilizer in commercial quantities without registration contrary to the law. Dr. Stephen Opuni, since being relieved of his post in January 2017, has been under investigations by the Economic and Organized Crime Office (YOCO), which also had his assets, including bank account, frozen in February last year.
Now let's still stay with this particular issue, and in consultation with a legal practitioner, lawyer Martin Pebu explains that most of the second-degree felonies, including defrauding by false pretense, attracts a 25-year penalty if convicted. Lawyer Pebu has been explaining to TV3 the factors which were taken into consideration in preparing the charges against the former CEO of COCOBOD, Dr. Stephen Kwabena Opuni.
You would have the abatement. Also speaking, the abatement means that you're helping somebody to commit an offense. Okay, so let's say that the person is preparing to defraud another person, and then you with material. So let's say that maybe the person is about to make false representations, and then you help that person to really make them. So let's say he doesn't even know what to say, but you help him, you perfect the things that he should present. So let's say he wants to bid for that contract. He doesn't have the things, yet you would tell him that, yes, I could help you do this, knowing very well that at the end of the day, you want to commit an offense, but not to do genuine business. The examples abound. So in short, we would say that it means that the prosecution, in its estimation, I haven't seen, so it means that we can only credit them for now. We will presume that they know what they're doing, and that from the evidence they have checked, they have sufficient evidence to mount such charges.
Okay. Most of the charges are second-degree felonies. What are the consequences? What goes with them?
Good. When you say second degree, it's a broad category, very broad, yes. So basically, for a lot of the second-degree felonies, it comes up to 25 years. Okay? But let's be specific. Let's say some of the charges that at least I heard, I haven't read all. For some of them that I heard, when you hear defrauding by false pretenses, that carries up to a maximum of 25 years of imprisonment if the person is convicted. Yes, when you say somebody has defrauded by false pretenses, it will range from a fine up to 25 years of detention. That's, of course, if you want the law, you're talking about Section 296 of Act 30. If you say abetting somebody to defraud by false pretenses, those ones also carry the same sentence as if the crime had been committed. So if the person is abetting the offense, usually in the law, he'll be punished as if he also committed it. Yes, so it will also go with up to 25 years. Oh, naturally, I'm sure he would come with his defense. You would not expect that for such a case, there would not be the other side. You know, they say every coin has two sides. So I think that's why it's meant to be a fair trial. So naturally, I can imagine that he would also mount a very spirited defense. Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, so the Supreme Court has dismissed an application for judicial review filed by Standard Bank Offshore Company against the National Investment Bank. According to the Apex Court, the application failed to meet requirements set for review.
A 7-member panel presided over by Chief Justice Sophia Kufu, with Justices William Atuguba, Julius Ansa, Sophia Adinuna, Jones Doche, K. Enin Yeboah, and A.A. Benin assistant sat on the case. Justice Jones Doche, who delivered the judgment, emphasized the option for review should not be an avenue for the satisfied litigant to re-argue their case. The Supreme Court was of the view the application failed to establish a case of miscarriage of justice, and the ordinary bench did not misapply the facts. The only condition met was filling the application within the 1 month period stipulated by law. The Apex Court dismissed the application on the basis that it lacked merit. The review was praying the Supreme Court to set aside its decision to dismiss a $60 million judgment debt entered against NIB. A commercial division of the Accra High Court in February 2013 ordered NIB to pay the money to Standard Bank Offshore Company, and the decision was upheld by the Court of Appeal in October 2013 following an appeal from NIB. Not satisfied with the court's ruling, NIB took the matter to the Supreme Court, asking it to quash the decisions of the two lower courts. In a unanimous decision on June 21, 2017, the 5-member panel of the Supreme Court, presided over by the Chief Justice Sophia Akufu, held that both Standard Bank Offshore Company Limited and Dominion Corporate Trustees Limited had no capacity to initiate the action, which resulted in the $16 million judgment debt. The court therefore nullified all proceedings in relation to the case that took place at the High Court and the Court of Appeal, as well as the judgment given by the two courts. It further granted cost of 500,000 cedis against Dominion Corporate Trustees Limited.
And that's it for the news this morning. Don't forget, you can always get interactive with us via social media handles on Twitter, Facebook, as well as Instagram. And don't forget, we're also live on DSTV channel 279. My name is Solis Rose Quarty. New Day continues after this. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Let's do newspaper headlines now. We'll start off with Ghanaian Times. Fertilizer deal at Cocoa Board. Opuni, another charged for causing over 217 million Ghana cedis financial loss to the state. Also, Fulani chiefs apologized to president for atrocities of headsmen. Then we are ready to implement tariff cuts from April 1st. That's coming from ECG boss. And then finally, 11 carjackers have been arrested in Accra and Tema.
Right. So a morning woke up to Opuni is all over every news
everywhere.
His face is there. If Opuni were to have worked for a telecom company, I'm sure it would make a lot of space this morning.
Yeah.
But the case has just been sent to court. We're told 23rd is the day for proceedings to begin. So we'll just wait and see. Yes, and exactly see how it goes. 27 counts.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And he's not alone in there.
Yes.
And of course, these are some of the issues that the court will take a look at. So we'll hang on and see how it goes. If you speak to some of his supporters, let me put them that way, capture them in that category, they seem to suggest that it is persecution of him. The NDC Ashanti region is already raising concerns. I think that either they are jumping the gun or they are jumping the stone. The thing has just started. It's the state that has a case against Dr. Opuni.
Right.
So it's just for Dr. Opuni to go there and answer and defend himself. So for me, it's not an issue of witch hunting. It's the state that says that you have some questions to answer. Come answer them. And if the court feels satisfied the way the questions are answered, then the case would find a way somewhere. So for me, it's not a case of witch hunting. It's just that perhaps at this point we need to take a look at what is right and what is wrong.
Well, 27 charges. I do not go there because it's sub judice at this point. The courts have started the processes. I am interested in the Fulani issue.
Exactly.
And well, we get an apology now, but is the apology enough? Will that solve the problem?
The chiefs, the Fulani
chiefs.
Okay.
You remember that when in the heat of all the Fulani issues, the press conferences that were, organized and held and said that, well, we should not brand everybody, every Fulani as being a troublemaker and all of that. Now we're getting an apology. Where from the sudden U-turn? Because then it was, in a tone that was not so if you like, pleasant. What changed? And will the apology, for example, soften the stance of the government and the youth of Agogo, Asante Ashima Agogo, and the chiefs and people there who claim that, look, these people have fomented too much trouble, they have caused us enough mayhem, let them go where they came from so that we can at least do our agrarian activities here. I don't think that an apology is enough. It's good, but it is not enough. Let's get to the root cause of the issues and fix the matter once and for all. I don't like this whole issue where we set up Operation Cowleg, we do Vanguard, we do this, Calm Life, we do all these things, and then at the end of the day, after 6 months, 8 months, there's nothing to write them about, and then we leave it hanging. You know, I don't believe in that.
Right.
It would have been a waste of state resources.
It would have. But I'm happy they had, you know, an encounter with the president and to even render the apology, because you taking that stand to render an apology means that you identify with the people who are causing the mayhem. But what I would have wanted them to do is actually tell us that they have had encounters with these Fulani headsmen and are talking to them and are finding ways of amending the situation rather than just offering the apology, as Johnny said. But also, the other thing that they raise is the fact that we seem to lump everyone together and say everyone who's doing anything bad dealing with cattle becomes a Fulani headsman. But certainly that's not what it is. But moving forward, I would want to see that these chiefs have power, and that's why they were even called to have an encounter with the president. And the president also said there's a committee that's dealing with this issue and he would want them to be on it. So I hope that if they're part of this committee, they'll be able to offer, you know, opinions on how best to deal with the Fulani headsmen, because they're people they identify with and obviously they've worked with or handled at some point in time, and so they know how best to interact with them to get them to stop the activities that they're, you know, the illegal way they're handling.
I think that whatever will give the headsmen impetus to do what they are doing is based on the fact that we have heard the Fulanis themselves say that there are people, powerful people in this country, politicians and security couples and rich men in this country who own the cattle that they only herd for them. So then you want to ask yourself, these people who claim to be fighting for us, these same big people, those in parliament, elsewhere, who came to be fighting for us, are they really fighting for us? Or they're just saying something to gratify or to tingle our ears? We must bring finality to this matter. Imagine that if you have a 3 or 4 acre farm, a pepper plantation, and somebody just, you know, wipes it out in a day, all in the name of what do you call it? You know, rearing that cattle. I mean, can you imagine?
Anyway,
I don't get it.
But let's touch on one story that's in the Daily Graphic. It doesn't make headlines, but it's very important to us. AMA moves to ensure safety at La Paz intersection. You remember the story that we did here on TV3 concerning that highway. And so if we hear that they're trying to do or institute measures to ensure the safe usage of the La Paz motorway, then we're happy, because then it will reduce the number of people who are killed on that
I am not
road.
happy. You know why? Because I interviewed the mayor here before the Dangerous Highways documentary was aired. And he told me that places such as La Paz, Jowulu, Circle, and other places, key primary areas in Accra, was going to have 24-hour surveillance by the AMA guards. 2 months or so down the line, I have not seen that. And I went through La Paz the other time. I see the traders are back. The traders that were chased away with state funds are back there. So what is the essence? And you see, it's the story that happens in AMA, KMA, TMA, all of them, you know, even in the secondary target, all of them face the same problems. We spend money, chase the people off, we damage their goods, seize them, find them, we put some behind bars, and then we leave the place open like that. Nobody is policing the area. 3 months, 2 months, they get back. Kaswa, the folks are coming back. Go to Kaneshi, the people are there. They are back on the footbridge. So then, if they do this small publications and they want to do PR, I don't get it. Fix the issues. Stop nursing this play around the saw. Nurse the saw to heal it. We all agree. Look, today people are being driven away from the frontage of the president's home at Nima. And the excuse is that it is not good for squatters to be there. It is the security implications and all of that. And the question I ask is, how different is that from what the AMA has been trying to do over the years at Circle or other places? Question, if the AMA consistently drives the people off and they come back, is it possible that the people being driven off from President Akufo-Addo's house at Nima will come back? Because the land there, nobody has told us what the plan is for that piece of land. So they will come back. I give you 1 month. We'll go to Circle. You see the railway where everybody was driven off. 1 month, they will come back because I've seen people putting up small umbrella, small chair, small this, small that, and they will all come back and the city authorities are watching. So it's not what you put in a graphic or what you get the cameras to capture for you to do PR. Fix the work. You have no competition. So do the work. AMA, good morning.
Johnny, the story, what baffles me about this story, let me take a look at it. Look, it says that AMA is talking about this because of a research that was done on the highway in collaboration with the European Union. Now, let me tell you what the AMA intends to do to resolve the casualties on the road. The AMA is suggesting that after the research, they are going to construct speed ramps on the highway. They are going to construct. That's the story. Okay, so let me read. Now, the Chief Executive, Mohamed J. Sowa, disclosed this at a launch of Pathways to Equitable Healthy Cities project in Accra. He explained that the measures to be deployed through a collaboration with the European Union initiative would include the construction of speed humps, pedestrian crossing, and intelligent traffic signals to mitigate road crashes at that intersection. And this is where I froze when I read the story.
Speed ramp?
Yes, they are going to construct speed humps on the highway.
That's danger.
When it is clear that the only solution to that difficulty on that stretch is to increase the number of footbridges.
Bridges there, right.
Okay. To make sure the traffic lights
now, these are highways. And for speed humps, we know some vehicles can speed and go over the humps without stepping on the brakes.
Exactly, the four-wheelers and the trucks.
This is what is in the story, that this is what the AMA intends to do. My blood is beginning to boil up, and I hope that
BP is not good.
The road safety is aware of this. They know, the road safety is aware. The commission, they are aware that the way out is footbridges.
Right.
Quickly, if they have seen this, they should get to talk to the AMA. That's all I would say.
You see, the point, and it comes back to the point. The AMA, so now we're going to do
speed humps.
The money that will be used to construct the speed humps, the police who will be there, the guards and everybody who will be there. If we put the money together, don't you think we can put together a bridge? Anyway, but finally, there's good news. Center spread of the Daily Graphic.
TV3 leads in TV viewership in Ghana. That's coming from Geopol. Yep, I see that. It is. And Daily kudos to our viewers because we wouldn't get there without them. We have them topping the charts.
Throughout the month of February, TV3 is led strategically with a little over 14%. And in the first week of March, it's a 14.33%. That's the leadership. So key brands, News 360, Midday Live, NewDay, and the new kid on the block, Sadia, is taking over. And it tells you how TV3 is responding to the needs in terms of content and everything else of the people. Because this is from Geopol. Geopol is international. So we didn't manufacture it for the Daily Graphic to carry it yesterday, for the BNFT to have carried it. It tells you that this is weighty indeed. And the first in news, the best in entertainment mantra is not just talk shop. It is happening. It is in terms of movies, in terms of music and everything else, you know.
But the first deputy speaker wants Galamsey to be curbed, and he mentioned the shoot and kill policy. But it didn't sit well with many people because we didn't think that was
a wish. It was a wish.
That's a reckless wish.
It was a wish. It was a reckless statement.
Very, very reckless. I'm hoping that he will find some space somewhere to apologize to. Ghana is not.
But the speaker has space in Parliament.
Ghana is not a banana state for you to kill people. I mean, the law says that if you are found to have done something, you must be put before a proper
competent court of jurisdiction.
So I think that he will find some space somewhere to apologize.
But the speaker has space all the time.
Okay, so
but it's even finding the space after they've made these comments that's the issue. But anyway, guys, let's
for Chelsea fans, we wish them a very good weekend.
But Chelsea and Man U have become
a very good weekend. No, this is the yesterday was a wakekeeping. So we'll do the Adichani over the weekend.
Good morning to you.
Well, Arsenal fans say all the best to you. But let's see as we rant about the shoot and kill policy to Kev Galamsey.
This is what it feels like. This is what it feels like.
We all can attest to the destruction illegal mining, popularly referred to as galamsey, has caused the environment. But the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joe Osei-Owusu, still insists the best way to curb this practice is to give the power to these security agencies to shoot persons involved in this practice. Is that the best way to go? Let's know your thoughts on this. Welcome to Daily Rant.
No, cry at the nipper trade now was on shoot to a mania do betting. Timon Shankro for myself. Omonkono who galamsey for Monsitu. And the son of bed, which your ma, not your mark or to life. What has not just a nipper no disturbing? I say, and Chichom, but Chichom, but still galamsey, and I dear Gusu. Oh, my at you a mono, oh, my at you a mono. Omokwai omumba by way akwese nipa ofrent obi a yanko so ncheche omo but se wokase obekunkum nipa akoto obi a shoot na na ase kum na na tese ntokwa na mo twetwe baga na no omo ncheki omo ho ansa na omayede omako galamsey na ase because untimi nye de enko galamsey ase sa anko ye de enko kunkum nipa because mo ncheki mo na mo di load ni ye de enko galamsey ase so omo nye de omo nkotu galamsey sa omai bi evidence obi wa there be when you say memo evidence and memo bi galamsey no edwuma no me maye bi pen e wo say omo cheki omo ho onko afoni free outside no mo ba enyo omo tu no mbeso e enyo omo na de omo ko ekoye edwuma no eti so ohene no ye ko ohene nim na so ohene na amakwan a o metimi to galamsey o mutimi to galamsey enti ministers for ne ohene for no e na ye one no mo de eyi ne ko enti bibia ni a wo so omo nchi omo no omo so nchirechire mu no obi anchire na adwenye de enchire omo enti ene kwan so mutimi shoot omo sa na meme makọ galamsey ase na wakọ shoot mi amede ho bechew na wa no ye galamsey enye wo say enye but ministers for ne check omo hu wi ansa na o ma ye de o ma ye wo galamsey o minister for omo na so yi ne ko load wo ye unim o ma na ye wo no se bi ye mbra na ye Arabs na ye kunkum ni party say we ekwan a ye befa so a ye be ma astop no ekwan mebre wo ho na o man yankasa so ye wo no wo me say galamsey edwuma na mo ye no sei nyama bebre but imbrante for so bebre ni edwuma ye nti eni bre na mo de yesa eno na ntre say wo say wo hia nipa na monitu okunu ekwan bebre wo ha ye befa so a o mbetimi but owo ni de oka enipa na ebeto abema wo ma wo betsa so mende wonya post na sesa nipa de yetimi ku nipa be yesi a afoforo ne ba wo be ye nipa sa ma yetimi ato ama ye Arabs ni ye kunkum nipa sa me pese me bisa deputy ni say o yare na so ko hospital ye ma na duro na na ho ato na to ansa na ho nto no inti galamsey onu anka se him beto ye ade bia so ahyase ni to e de eye den asese bi obi abodam na wo sa no bodam o sa ne yare eye nkakra inti me hu ni se de we se akasa no anka se ye omo time eye nkakra de time na da ben time na da nso ni so sa na nso ti se wona ya ti se I say lifting tea no nso ti se nso na ni ye omo stop bi nkakra George wo Ghana ha o ejuma ni ho that no kasa no de ejuma brenkofo si se nkofo kura na yekunkum omu na obeja se ye hie obi a yenkunkum omu ono wan kasa e na galamsey ejuma no obi mu ma no mu ye ejuma se be mu akọ school obi ma ewe nti so wo pam omu afiwa pe bi na fa omu hye se ejuma no omu nye umpa ejuma bi mfa ma obi ye me masas na obi aba na se gudi no ma me so me ho kire na meto ama ne se ontu nti ye nkakra me hu ni se de osika se wan kasa ni bibia ye time mama munko kasa ofiti aso munkunkum om kasa munkunkum om de Ghana fe no mo nya adwen deputy speaker no wan kasa ye kospeni enkasa sa so ase ena bisa ho se galamsey na ebae no eboa youth no because yankasa ye eboa youth esa sense ase ba bisa ho se betu ase na Mr. Kano o say I say obodan for san yare so that say nti se wo se obodan for yare graduate so ase na so wo minister wo bi wa no pa
Now can say if any say or say shoot how many people are having guns to shoot them?
Say police maybe Operation Vanguard.
Police
Minister no kasa onko jom shop no mo bi am tunton galamsey no man ono so ko cross ne jam
China for
me bana sa me pesha vra koye bia na me pe we ya se chamfan na ma nya bia store na ehwa me to mo scam ko bia store me to omo minister omo deputy me se deputy no ankasa me kunu no kwan ko be fe me na aduane be ya
China for mo ba
China me ba democracy kebi na me kebi me ba democracy kebi na me kebi ana ye nim se galamsey ha ye ana si we na be ye ama etu atwa on so da na be ma etu atwa
Ghana hana ya jina na wati ase ya to abadi aheden ama mo no obetimi aka se koto obi wa galamsey nipa ba ya nyem no 9 months ya wo no atitini ma na nyi ne ma mede na akọ school no wati ase obetimi aka se ye sutu no ya koto mo ye sutu
akọ school na o ya
no obetimi ekun nipa
all that be there na kan na starting because me nipa na nipa no so obusua fo fa no ho nchawo obi mu se omo hu se ababu obi aso beje so ana soja fo ni police ya fa ba mbeso mbeku onu minister no onu ya situation ni mo betimi eku e wo se de omo ye na ye bata ni kwa se ni so e wo se na yi ni fiso
osu yes we why galamsey da nti we galamsey na nsuo ni se nsuo bia nkofo ba nuom e ye ofe
enya me fedie but enya me de but any kwan say anytime me jani nti any kwan say o to me ka so nko shutu obi because o mind say me ye nyina ye tim nkola wo mu apimfo wo membruafo wo eti any kwan say o ye de o ka se ye nko shutu ye shutu si ho ma na ewu ono enya be ya starting from the to any parliament for ya fa mo no fa MPs no mo ni ka shutu
enya me ka ye no
endo bi ntimi nye
ye nyina e pese ase enchakra ana waka ne de o su de na wo waka wo bibi ka cha aban no e bi on yisu de
Ghana for you pay for them there share one we are having big excavators here with my kwan man one by the contract no come amana no for it's excavator no onya kwan enye nti galamsey ni baka say betu ko ma me obetu ma no so what does say ye the contract akesa akasa e ma nti boys na me so I say me to na say me excavator we are na say mo ma mejuma na say galamsey ni ba say mi go tu we are go tu
o ma mo wi afi mu ba dia mo pe na mo ye se se we yi onipa ye die sembra to aba ma wo na so be ka say o de be hye bia ye shoot na ye ba say na e de be start
ma ko villages a e bia nkofo ni nso no mo isu na e bia sa nso na ya sen no nso be ni nso ben beba o be ni nso ben nti e kwa na say me minister no
won ko to boho
ade we me ya nti mi ebufo na me de kan sa e bia je say me mini but e me ya say ade ni say na
anu ya do me ya na ya di shira
onyo oba ya ti start e fe onu so jafuni police omo so wayo ne mba o ise ko bia o fa sida so bi na we ka so shoot omo gbogbo nipa ho ban omo meku nipa
do ta number 2 aba mo ko no mo mobo na mo tutu omboto mo 100 Ghana ye be ma mo tu ye be ma mo tu mamba bi ni sivia mo sise galamsey mi nyi ye bi o ba galamsey ni tu ne ko ne de be ye de papa me ma me asa asikura bi aba mo ko ton amom de omo ye because me timi ko wi ade o chi wan ya me timi ko wi ade ne ye te Ghana ha obi timi kum obi anya ne show na obi a me wi ade ma ho ode na me di tu se bi obi akọ university adwuma ni bi ebi nni wo so what I say na say my obi akoto na amuna no so be kolikoli na mnya kakra na mfa me yini ni me ma media eno so be kum ya ese eno de papa no wan kasa ye
nti that thing is galamsey yempe yenya ese yempe nti wa kan de kum obi no den na mumu be se yenya atubecha
ana me ka se emra bebre wo ho obetimi ukwachi obi ade ne be den wo de ne be fa so be nu nkyere se obe den wo be kum nipa what I say enti mu chi nipa na mbetimi am life in prison mo mba biem na wakwa kotu e wo ho what what you say, but won't mean Casse. Yen to yen shooting nipa, and no German and Arabs, you Kunipa. Before Kunipano, Parliament House, or Marcus and Ninkan check your Muria and San or Marco outside. Or Montakia, Monsomuna, and your Mundinka. So I won't say, yeah, and your Munda, no Muntimin, no Monade, or Mufo police station, Sanya Yard, yeah, machines no more use to say, machines no more use to say, where's no mega sensika. Yet, your Mokonia Bissase, a then a day, a beco, never who say, or man penny for that machine in Mancolano.
So we'll shoot to be a better to her. On shoot to him for fun of first. I am for fun. I am for Bill Ecola. I am for auto. I am for the Abu Penny for no. Almost shoot to among first. Bagana, or Bagana, near Sasonia interpreter Mano. No, or just say, Nishanti, whatever was sent.
The fight against Galamsey is more like we are chasing the mirage. It's going to be difficult, though, that's according to the public. But to avert this, we should not kill these illegal operators, as suggested by the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament. Let us know what you think about this. Log on to our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's News on TV3, and on Twitter, it's a News TV3. We came to you from Flagstaff House at Accra. Thanks for watching, and keep watching NewDay.
About today.
Okay, today I want to talk about the state of the economy. Yeah,
state of the economy.
All right. Welcome back once again. Daily Graphic says opening 2 others in court accused of causing financial loss to the state. That's 217.3 million cedis. That's the story. Every newspaper this morning has that story. Today, put it at openly charged with 27 counts of causing financial loss. The heritage says Akufo-Addo's corruption trials begin as ex-Cocoa Board CEO faces 27 counts. Trial begins March 23. Independent says aftermath of Iyoko's probe into Cocoa Board affairs, Mohammed's pal faces court. But Ashanti Region NDC says it's a political witch hunt. The NewsDay says all 27 charges against Opuni, 2 others, and others have some other stories. We'll take a look at that. My guest this morning to do the talking, a member of the NPP's communication team, Richard Asante-Yeboah, is here with me. Richard, good morning.
Good morning.
Hope you're doing great.
By the good grace, yeah.
Thanks for your time with us. And a member of the NDC's communication team, Abraham Malaba, is also here. Good morning.
Good morning, Bright.
Hope you're doing great.
Very well.
Right. Now, let's take a look at the Daily Graphic and how it puts the Dr. Opuni's story this morning. It's on the front page, but the story itself is captured on page 3. It says that the immediate past chief executive of the Cocoa Board, Dr. Stephen Kwabena Opuni, has been hauled before the Accra High Court for allegedly causing financial loss of 217.3 million cedis to the state. The criminal case filed by the Attorney General also accused the one Seydou Agongo and an agrochemical company, Agricort Ghana Limited, of defrauding Cocoa Board of the said amount. It is the case of the AG that from 2013 to March 2016, Agongo and Agricort Ghana Limited defrauded Cocoa Board of the amount under the guise of supplying Cocoa Board with fertilizer from Germany for onward distribution to farmers. The AG accused Dr. Opuni of aiding Agongo and Agricort to perpetrate the fraud and also willfully causing financial loss to the state. Dr. Opuni, Agongo and Agricort have been charged with 27 charges. And so on March 23, we're likely to see the beginning. Dr. Opuni has been charged with 3 counts of abetment of crime relating to defrauding by false pretense, contrary to Sections 21 and 13(1) of the Criminal Offences Act 1960, Act 29, and 3 counts of willfully causing financial loss to the state, contrary to Section 1793A of the Criminal Offences Act 1960, Act 29. The AG also charged him with 7 counts of contravention of the Public Procurement Act, contrary to Sections 92(1), 92(2)(b), 41A, and 41 of the Public Procurement Act 2003, Act 663. Dr. Opuni is also accused of misrepresenting facts to the Public Procurement Authority in order to obtain unfair advantage in the award of a contract to Agricot Ghana Limited. And those are some of the charges leveled against Dr. Opuni. Rachel, let me begin with you. The government has been talking about trying to clean up the mess as far as corruption is concerned. There were instances where the public kept asking when some of these officers who were accused of having done wrong will be hauled before the court. We've seen this perhaps as the beginning. Is this to show government's commitment to pursue what is said whilst in the position to clean up the mess in some of the allegations that were leveled against the previous government's appointees?
Thank you very much, Bright. And I think what I would like to say is that this particular process is not to literally hunt a particular administration, but to make sure that whatever is due Ghanaian is gotten back to the state coffers. This is also to make sure that we make corruption unattractive venture for any politician or any public actor to get himself or herself involved in it. This is also a clear indication of government's commitment in the fight against corruption. One thing everybody ought to understand and appreciate is that in terms of our quest to fight against corruption, the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has indicated on several occasions that the lenses of the government is not going to be on only the former administration or the previous administration, but it will even be within his own administration, giving an indication that anybody, by virtue of having opportunity to serve the nation, if you do not conduct yourself very well, and the nation loses any amount, even a peswa, these monies will be retrieved for the state, and you'll be made to face the law. So this is what has really happened in this. Just need to put that in the right perspective, so that we will not get into the idea that is it to prove that the former administration was corrupt or whatever administration. Just to make sure that anybody, regardless of where you find yourself, you can be MPP member, NDC member, CPP member. You can even be somebody who is apolitical, but you've been given a particular role to play as a citizen or even non-citizen. If you misconduct yourself, if you misappropriate funds, if you spend money that ought to go into construction of schools, roads, providing us electricity, and making sure that we have good healthcare system across the country, same punishment in terms of invoking the legal process and also the jurisdiction of the court to be seized with some of the opportunity to look into the matters. Well, these individuals will be given opportunity to answer to the various counts that have been leveled against them, and I'm sure they'll have their day in court to also prove sin. But let me give you some few facts as is known and what has been publicized by the various media outlets. I think the quantum involved in this Opuni saga is mind-boggling. And what some of us are privy to, and I'm sure when you read it, what equally everybody is known to, all the information that has come to all of us, indicates that there have been two different occasions that a particular company, that's the Agricot, approached the Cocoa Board and officials of Cocoa Board with the idea that they're going to supply particular fertilizer to them. And on these two occasions, one occasion, a sum of 43,123,000 thereabout was devoted into this, and not a single fertilizer was supplied. In another scenario, in another amount in excess of 75 million Ghana cedis was equally invested in this, and Cocoa Board did not get value for money, or did not get anything in terms of the supply. So from all indications, and looking at the facts and other matters that is before the court, which I wouldn't want to go into, because obviously we need to allow the court the opportunity to and give the people their day in court, so that at least it wouldn't be that there's a kangaroo court system where these people are already being called to be guilty before even they have their day in court. But in the final analysis, whatever it is that these individuals got themselves involved in, I'm sure they'll have a day in court. But it tells you that over the years, the desire for people to get rich quicker, the desire for people to sort of manipulate the system to sort of enrich their cronies and themselves, the desire for people to sort of milk this nation, because you see, gradually politicians are being seen in a particular light,
or public actors have been seen in a particular light as being making themselves money-sucking vampires and just milking from the people. These things become disincentive to taxpayers, to even investors. So what we need to do is that we need to show the strongest of signals to every Tom, Dick, and Harry within even the forgotten parts of this country, in any village, any hamlet, that no matter your role, any amount given to you or any responsibility entrusted to you as an individual to perform, you ought to make sure that you do it with due diligence. You make sure that you do it and make sure the nation derives the needed satisfaction from it without we losing monies. Because as a struggling country, because over the period, we know that there's no facet of our society or our public sector that is not crying for funds. When you go to education, we need a lot of funds to support the free education, construction of schools, libraries, and whatnot. When you go to the health sector, across the country, we are on a daily basis talking about the need for improved medical infrastructure, improve in the service delivery. When you go to even roads network, we are seeing series of accidents across the country because of the bad nature of the roads and other things that money could help resolve. We are over the period we're talking about security matters. That one thing that had come to the fore had to do with the fact that the security were not equipped adequately enough. So if there were funds devoted for these purposes, we realize that we'll be able to make our country better, so that the teeming youth will not be compelled to leave the shores of this country and die in the Mediterranean and also on the desert, or in the name of seeking for greener pastures. We can create the greener pastures, make our country green here, and make sure that at least we employ a good number of our youth. And I'm thinking that fighting corruption, everybody should give a thumbs up to this administration, give a thumbs up to the President of the Republic, the Attorney General, and the team of lawyers out there. And let's all make sure that we volunteer information and supply information, especially to the new office that have been created for this purpose, the Office of the Special Prosecutor. And some of us believe that Honorable Martin Amidu will do this nation proud in terms of making sure that you position the country and retrieve monies that have been stolen and make sure individuals are punished according to the law.
I'm grateful, Richard. Mr. Malaba, let me come to you. The Ashanti Regional NDC has issued a statement suggesting that they think this is a persecution. Is that the position of a party?
Let me start by saying good morning to your viewers. The party would respond to this. I am not an official of the party.
Right.
So I lack the capacity to answer that question for and on behalf of the party. But you see, on this platform, we need to have our facts straight. I have with me a copy of the charge sheet with the 27 counts. Nowhere in this charge sheet did it say that 75 million Ghana cedis was advanced to Seydou Agongo and no fertilizer was supplied. Nowhere in this charge sheet. Indeed, that cannot even be included in this charge sheet because we have a separate document called Statements of the Facts. So as we speak now, what is out is just the charge sheet. We've not been privy to the facts of the case. And so when he says that huge sum of money was advanced and no fertilizer was supplied, it's not true. It has not been borne out of here.
Okay. Now it's not here. Is it possible that he has information as to what might have gone into the charges?
The communicator have other details.
Since he speaks for the government.
I have contrary information, but I will not put that out because I know that we are waiting for the facts.
Okay.
Indeed, my contrary information is that he was giving that money to deliver cocoa, which he made representation to government that he was going to import it from Germany, but rather produced it locally. Okay. And if you look at it, there's one charge which says that producing or manufacturing fertilizer illegally.
Right. Okay.
So that fits,
I think I've seen that on the
exactly.
on the
that fits into my Okay. But I wouldn't say that is it. Let's wait for the Attorney General.
Okay.
Indeed, we have 27 counts. But you see, all these 27 counts can be summarized into 6. One is the fraud matters, which is defrauding by false pretenses.
Right.
The second one is willful causing financial loss to the state. The third one has to do with procurement matters, that is to say, breach of the Procurement Act. The fourth one has to do with corruption. The fifth one has to do with money laundering. And the last one is what I intimated, which is illegally manufacturing fertilizer. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So all these 27 charges can be summed up into 7 or 6, yeah. But you see, nobody is saying that we should allow corruption to fester in this country. Even those who are corrupt agree that we must fight corruption. Those who engage in the act of corruption, they themselves, when they are speaking in public, say that we should fight corruption. So there is no gainsaying that the fight against corruption is total and we all are in consonance with it. But if you have noticed, the president has a penchant of threatening his opponents.
How?
After the first 6 months of the reign of this administration, you realize that every month you hear acts of corruption coming, allegations of corruption coming out of the government. From the 2 deputy chiefs of staffs through to cash for seats. It even started with a bribery at Parliament, cash for seats. You went to bust. You went every month. The latest is again a bust saga, and we just heard yesterday, NLA, National Lotteries Authority, how 11 contracts. It is 1 contract, but it has been broken into 11 and packaged and given to the sister-in-law of a big man there.
That's an allegation.
That's what I'm saying. All allegations are coming.
Right.
Now, anytime the president is under pressure of not fighting corruption within his government, and the public outcry is that this government is corrupt, the president, when he gets the opportunity, threaten his opponent and say that we will see who is corrupt. Very soon, prosecutions will start. If you want specifics, I'll give you. He said that in his Eastern Region tour. I didn't listen to him at the CIF match, but I'm told he said that again. Now, if no, behave. I have kept quiet.
Come on,
behave. Now, if you have a president who constantly goes out there and telling his opponents that you say I'm corrupt, I will show you, knowing very well that you, the president, have the machinery of state in your hands. The opposition doesn't have that. So, for instance, when you instruct that there must be investigations into the activities of a former government appointee, the opposition hasn't got that capacity to also instruct the police to investigate your appointee. So you are not at the same par. You and the opposition, you are not on the same level. And so when you go out there and issue those threats, then it lends to credence the claim that you are behind these prosecutions, directing the security services as to who to prosecute. And so I think that the president should get away from those types of talks, because every president will be criticized. You don't threaten people that very soon we will see who is corrupt. Now, when you do that, what are you trying to do? He's trying to redirect the narrative. Redirect the narrative. The narrative which is that officials of government, the president are corrupt, What the president is trying to do is to say, I will redirect the narrative to say that it is rather the previous administration who are corrupt. And so that is where I see the Ashanti region coming in.
This is where
and
you're
say
worried.
that it is political.
But if the president, proud to him being elected as the leader of this country, made certain allegations and told the people that if I come into power, I am going to pursue these, and he comes to the power and is directing that these are the allegations I found out whilst campaigning as for president. And so, Attorney General, go ahead and investigate. Is there anything wrong with it?
I am saying that as a president, when your government is being accused of acts of corruption, you don't take the podium and threaten the opposition.
Okay.
And say that very soon we will see who is corrupt. If you make those comments, knowing very well that you have the state machinery in your hands, and if we actually want to know who is corrupt, because what he's now doing is now calling for a competition as to who is corrupt, because we'll see who is corrupt. That's what he said. Now, the opposition doesn't have that state machinery to say that, okay, you are investigating Oponi, let's also investigate the boss, what is his name? Boss CEO. So that we'll see that, yes, because he was calling for a competition, we'll see that, yes, if you say we are corrupt, you are more corrupt than us. He has not given an impression that he is even interested in fighting corruption from within. And so when they say there's corruption from within his party, he gets angry, he's intolerant, then he will now tell the people, we will see who is corrupt. And I think that it is unbecoming of him to be doing that. Allow the state machinery to work. I have indicated in my opening submissions that even the corrupt agree that we should fight corruption. But you don't threaten people when they say that there's corruption within your government. What you do is to use that state machinery you have to rather ensure that they investigate your government. You don't cover up as he's doing.
Right.
That is the problem I have with him.
I'm grateful.
But the charges, you see.
Quickly before I
bring the charges.
Richard into
the charges. Yeah. I call them pair trolling charges.
Oh, okay.
You know what pair trolling is? You know fishing?
Sweeping everything?
Fishing. Those who go to fishing will know. What the state is doing is fishing for the appropriate charge to now nail them.
Is it because of the number?
The number of, when you see the number of charges, it tells you that the state is not confident in most of the charges. What they are doing is to say, let's throw all this. Maybe one will catch. And so you would also notice that in so doing, they create the impression that these persons, the accused persons, have committed all these offenses. But it is not so. When you are being charged, that is the case of the prosecution.
Right.
When they proceed to court, the defense, the accused persons will also open their defense. But don't also forget, there's information that the businessman has also sued Cocoa Board in a civil case, meaning that he is also confident of his case. And so we are waiting to see how it turns out. It's going to be an interesting case in court.
Grateful. Richard, you wanted to react to quickly.
I have a difficulty with my brother Amadiba on his line of argument.
About the president
and the introduction of the president and the way he went. I think we need to elevate the discussion and look at the issues as they present themselves without necessarily dragging in people who have nothing to do with what is before us this morning. He's talking about threats. I mean, the president threatening the opposition and threatening opponents with this Oponi saga. We have NDC members, even NDC Greater Accra organizer, sitting on radio and accusing Mr. Oponi of being corrupt when they exited power. They themselves, within themselves, when you hear them talk, the kind of thing that they say are quite uncomplimentary about the man and his activities at Cocoa Board, the fact that he has literally collapsed that sector.
You think that is
so I can't understand when that, and you see,
you think that is enough grounds to?
No, I'm not saying that it is based on that. I'm trying to let him know that nobody is pursuing anybody with this idea that if somebody is being investigated, is witch hunt. I mean, I can't understand that. But I tell you, my brother, if there are witches in society, they are not good for the development of society, and they must be haunted. We need to hunt them. Witches are people who are in there to cause mayhem and cause distraction and cause pain and frustration and agony. So if indeed they exist and they are feasting on us and they've put on a new attire called corrupt individual, corrupt officials and making from the state, then the state must go and hunt them and make sure that they are arrested and their monies are retrieved. That thing is very, very important. We need to look at. He went on and talked about parliamentary bribery scandal. What happened in that saga? The parliament set up a bipartisan committee to investigate the matter. And even the issue is that it came from your own minority caucus. And at the end of the day, what happened? The honorable member who led that whole crusade came to the floor of parliament and apologized. And Brett, you are aware of this fact. After the investigation, it proved that he had not even a shred of evidence to buttress his allegations. He couldn't substantiate it with a single evidence. Do you understand? And you see, evidence is the name of the game. You can't go about putting out false allegations without being able to substantiate it. When you are called upon to substantiate it with substantial substance, they go about saying that you are being witch hunted because you are being caused to prove your allegations. Is that what we want to build a country on? He went about to talk about other things. My brother, we've seen the worst of it in this country. This Woyomi saga, we've seen Smarties, where oil money meant for other sectors. Oil monies were supposed to be used for either education, agriculture, or health. But yet those monies were diverted into bus branding. Over 3 million in excess of that. When a minister had to resign for that purpose, and monies were, the individual was asked to return the money. What happened? Did we see the prosecution? Have we seen Abu Gapele Asibit serving their jail sentences? Because the court found them guilty. So if moments of this arrived and we are discussing the issues, let's look at the issues on board. That if somebody goes about with series of press conferences within the period that they've been in the minority, they've had close to 228 press conferences at various levels. Press conferences all over, accusing the current administration, or even after investigations have been has come up and we are aware of the full facts, yet they go about saying that they don't trust those investigations. However, when individuals are brought before the court and they are supposed to have their day in court, then you say that no, they are perjuring, there's no evidence. My brother, let those people prove that in court. I mean, in terms of penciling out charges against individuals, it is a normal system in any criminal prosecution. You line up the charges, but it doesn't mean that all of them will possibly suffice at the end of the trial. They understand that. So far as these things have been leveled against them, let them prove it. Why would an individual tell government that I'm importing fertilizer from this country and this company can be certified? We know they are certified and they are supposed to bring this particular fertilizer. The person doesn't go there, sit in this country, combine some concoctions and put tags on it and call it fertilizer and supply to farmers to destroy cocoa farms, and you say that we should applaud those people and open champagne bottles for them because they've done that? Are we going to do and build our country based on this kind of principle and analysis? What I believe in is that the president is busily fighting corruption. Individuals who are culpable will have their day in court, but every single penny, any peso that has been stolen by any single member of society, whether MPP, CPP, or whatever it is, if you have any evidence against any member of parliament or any member of this government or any minister, that is why there's even a special prosecutor. Make those information and evidence available, and let's deal with the matters on that matter and move away from this trend analysis and propaganda.
I am happy that you have come 360 degrees to agree that it was not that he couldn't deliver the fertilizer, but that he produced local fertilizer. But hold it there. How can you have two sides of a story and then you want to believe one side, and you are telling the people of this country on national television that how can people sit down and produce fertilizer? Has it been proven that he sat in Accra here and produced the fertilizer? That is the case of the prosecution. Right, so they can lie. So don't be making it look like
you can trust them.
Don't be making.
You can trust. I don't trust Opuni and
don't be sitting here and making definitive comments as if you are the court. You should be mindful of that.
Please, I did not say they are guilty. I said these are the facts.
And I'm saying
as
that.
I know.
And I'm saying,
okay,
those are not the facts. In fact,
these are facts I know.
No facts.
So you can put the contrary facts.
I corrected you.
Corrected what?
You were on the trajectory of telling lies. I corrected you.
You didn't correct
me. Okay, I'm grateful.
Let's
move on. Let me touch on this story quickly, and then the Times this morning is reporting of an issue in Parliament yesterday. Page 16 says that there is some uncertainty surrounding the role of Madam Adwoa Safo as the Minister of State in charge of public procurement. Minority lawmakers in Parliament have claimed. Now, this is because during question session in the House, she was asked certain questions, but she parried away questions related to procurement to the Finance Ministry. According to her, the Office of the Minister responsible for public procurement assists to advise the President on procurement policies and strategies. Now, she is suggesting that any questions on procurement must be directed to the Ministry of Finance. And this is where the minority is suggesting that if this is the case, then that ministry, Minister of State in charge of procurement, must be scrapped since she doesn't seem to be doing anything. The Ghanaian Times has the paper, the Today newspaper has the story too. Mr. Malaba, this issue is a fallout of the Maslock car thing. Some 1,800 vehicles have been asked to be supplied, according to the Member of Parliament for Ashaiman. And he wanted to find out what procurement method was used by Maslock in awarding that contract worth 28.8 million cedis to the company. Now, the business of procurement, Madam Adwoa Safo says she has no information. Is this enough to suggest that the ministry isn't necessary? The Minister of State in charge of procurement, is it necessary?
Bright, you see, you speak tree better than me, but there's a saying that a buboba and a boaba. We said some of these ministries were enablers ministries. They were unnecessary ministries. They said they needed 110 to do what? To develop this country. In fact, we are even beyond 8. We are now somewhere. So is Adwoa Safo telling us today or yesterday that her ministry, a whole ministry with a budget, and the responsibility of that ministry is to be advising the president, Mr. President, procurement is like this, it's like this, it's like this. Is that all of it? So when we say that they have created jobs for girlfriends, boyfriends, brothers and sisters, this is it. This is it. She's confessed. Questions time. Parliament is seized with the responsibility to hold ministers or invite ministers to answer questions on matters relating to their ministry. This is a matter relating to procurement. Indeed, when her ministry was created, we said, look, there are procurement officers in all the ministries. What role would they now be playing? They say we should keep quiet. We don't read, we don't know anything. Next, we said, look, the Procurement Act does not allow interference from ministers. But you've created a procurement minister. What will be her role? That one too, they jumble the answers up. But I think that let Ghanaians thank Adwoa Safo for being honest in telling Parliament that the job they gave me was only to be advising the president. How did he advise the president? You and me don't know. But it is clear. This is a clear testimony of what some of us said, that some of these ministries are simply unnecessary, enablers. They do not contribute to our development. And so I will only say that instead of us chastising her, let's thank her for putting out the truth.
I see. Richard, is this indeed the situation? Should we get rid of that portfolio, Minister of State in charge of procurement?
Bright, I think I hold a contrary view to my brother Amadeba, and I'm surprised with his views on this matter. I think these are the issues. We know that there
Minister of State in charge of certain portfolios that the president deemed that he wants a lot more focus to be on. And that is a strategy in terms of governance. Every government and the kind of approach they adapt in wanting to deal with things. Then they thought that in terms of handling other things, they will increase the number of presidential staffers to close to 200. And that was the approach. That's what they, when you were talking and I decided to just cannot be allowed to go. The same thing was happening when you reacted.
Please allow him to go. Richard, please go.
Thank you very much, Bright, for your fairness. They approached it in a different way. When they came in, they adapted a strategy where they will be inviting companies and be paying them judgment debt, whether it is through fair or foul means. People were being given money all over. That is their strategy, and that's how they thought they wanted to approach things. This government thought that, you know what, one of the difficulties, and that's one of the ways we continue to lose money, in huge sums of money, is through procurement. So let me put an individual there who will be looking at this, but that minister will be a minister of state.
All right.
And that minister will be drawing budget from the office of the president.
She doesn't have a full ministry.
She doesn't have a full ministry like other ministries have a complement of chief of staff and everything, chief directors and all these auxiliary staff. They do not have that. So they work through that video. Beyond that, in terms of questions that they are supposed to respond to, you refer to the Ministry of Finance, and they will intend to seek for whatever clarification from them, and they will pass it through them. If you want IGP to answer questions on the floor of Parliament, what is mostly done is that you ask through the Ministry of Interior. Is that not the case? If you want Kwale Bu to, or any of the hospitals to address a particular matter that had to do with health, you don't invite the chief executive from Kwale Bu to, or the 37 to appear before Parliament. But what you do is that you run your question through the Minister of Health. That has been the practice over the period. So they asked that she should come and explain this matter. They said, you know what, direct this question through the appropriate forum, so that all these answers will be solicited from me, and the minister will appear before Parliament and grant same to you members of Parliament in a respectful manner. So I do not understand the endings. And even this matter, it died on arrival. What are the facts of this issue on this mass law?
The MP is asking what method was used
about a year ago.
There
has not been any. Let me finish. About a year ago, a company approached Maslow with the arrangement that they have some cars, they want to give it to drivers. And Maslow said, you know what, we do not have money to, and we are not ready to commit any funds to it. If you like, what we can do is that we can give you a letter that can allow you to go and look for your cars or funds to bring your cars. But we are not paying a single cedi. Government is not going to devote even a peso into this arrangement. When your cars come, if drivers or commercial operators are interested, they can come and do arrangement with you and buy. However, we can even have some percentage on it and make some money for government or to support the Maslow as an organization. They started the process. In the course of time, Madam Adwa Safwa, who is minister in charge of procurement, wrote a letter to Maslow that, you know what, you are breaching certain aspect of the procurement law. So stop this process, put the whole process to hold, and cancel everything. And they did that. So in that scenario,
so there was no contract at all.
So whatever. So there's not been any. There's no holding binding contract to anybody. Okay. Government has not lost a single penny or dollar or cedi or kobo. We've not lost anything.
No, but no.
There's no judgment.
It's not a matter of loss. You're saying that there was no contract at all.
What I'm saying is that whatever it is that existed that you could call contract was cancelled.
Okay.
And it died.
So there was no contract.
So now you can't call anything to be a contract.
Okay.
So as it stands now, there's no binding agreement with anybody that would expose us financially to anything in terms of maybe judgment debt or anybody coming in to sue for anything. So the process was stopped from the beginning.
Right.
And it came through the Honorable Adwa Safwa. That is why the minority wanted clarification. And she said, you know what, indeed, whatever it is that you are looking for, it is allowed by the Constitution as the people's representative. But run it through the Ministry of Finance. So the Minister of Finance can be invited to address this issue.
Okay.
And these are the simple matters, and I think we all need to look at it and applaud what has been done in this regard.
But, all right, I'm grateful.
The way you trust these people.
No, but what do you mean by the way I trust? He just told us that there was no contract at all.
So you cannot trust these people on the governance of this country. You know very well that they said today we're going to start enjoying electricity.
We're going to talk about that.
You know they said we're going to enjoy electricity. They told people of Ghana, somebody whose lights were off last week was waiting for this day. Today, we are being told that it's April, and you are trusting these people. Look, Ajua, according to his submissions, was the one who called for and cancelled the contract.
Contract to be cancelled.
Now you are being called to come to Parliament and answer, and you say you are not the one to answer. You don't have information. You only you only deal with the presidency. What stopped her from going to answer the question the way she knew it, which is that there's no contract and that she has cancelled the contract? If that is true, so don't take the things that these people say. You know these people, you cannot trust them for 1 minute.
Is it a legitimate question to ask that if indeed she under her ink the contract was cancelled, would it have resolved matters if she had told Parliament that, Mr. Speaker, this contract the member is talking about has been cancelled?
Right, or let's be fair to the facts.
Okay.
We are talking about procedure and what has been the process over the years. What have been the protocols over the years in terms of parliamentary questionings and answers. When assuming there's an agency of government, there are issues with that agency. When matters of that agency comes before Parliament, do we as or do members of Parliament necessarily invite the agency heads to appear before Parliament? Is it what has been the practice? No.
So that's why
they invite the supervisory ministry to appear before Parliament and address the issue. That has been the process. So in this situation, Madam Adwoa Safo is working to the finance ministry. So why don't you invite the finance minister to do that? And that was their answer. And obviously the NDC assists with all these facts. Most of the things that they do it out of mischief and to create the impression that there's some corruption in somewhere. The same processes that they've been involved themselves in Parliament to extend along the line, they themselves, Honorable Mutaka and Honorable Mahama Yariga and Okuja Tablakwa and all those were at each other's throats, fighting against each other and talking about somebody trying to bribe somebody to be approved and all. They did all this just to disgrace themselves. And I'm saying that they continue to devalue their role as opposition members or party. And that thing they need to look at it. Because as a government, we will make sure that we uphold the law. Anybody who falls foul of the law, whether you're a member of Parliament, you're a minister, you're a DCE, whatever position you hold in government, the President of the Republic and his team and the Vice President had all agreed that you will be made to account. So if they are being made to account, they should listen to it. And this ECG thing that he brought in, which I know will go into. Yes, when we get to that matter, I think I'll take the opportunity to explain to my brother. I know it's pure mischief. He understands the issues, but I'll use the opportunity to explain to him
quickly,
what has
even
happened.
Before Johnny starts with the comment, the ECG says that it can't start the process because the billing system is a monthly cycle, and that's why. So the key question to ask is that, I mean, this was announced weeks ago. So if ECG knew it could not do this, why were we not told?
They don't say they can't start. Let's get the issue.
They said because their billing is a monthly cycle.
They have a system that is a monthly cycle.
Yes.
And it's like ending of the month to the following
before,
month. That's where they can. But what it is that they are going to do is that if it's supposed to start from 15th, that period, all of them will be accounted for when you are purchasing it in 1st January.
The 1st April.
Or the 1st April, in terms of the reduction. So the reduction kicks in today.
Yeah,
it's kicking in today. But if you are buying because of the system, and what you see, the system we need to understand. This is not the first time they've told us this.
Yes, I know. But if you know that the system can't work, why do you want to charge me and return my money? Why do you want to take my money before return it? Is that fair?
See, I get your input. Yes, and I can associate myself with your concerns. Do you understand that? But the point is that
you knew long ago.
This has been the system that they've been running over the years. And anytime
you run the same system again,
I mean, I think at the end of the day, we get
money and refund it.
At the end of the day, we get our money worth. They don't necessarily refund it by money. No. But what they do is that they give us credit. But let's not
would they pay me interest for taking my money? Will ECG pay me interest for taking my money?
I understand you. I say let's not undermine the desire of government to make sure that the frustrations and the pain of consumers are lessened. by making sure that consumers of residential status are getting a whooping 17.5% reduction. That we are getting the non-residential customers are equally getting 30% in terms of reduction. That the mines companies are also going to get 10% in terms of reduction. Special purpose energy consumers are equally going to get over 25% in terms of reduction. This is the desire of government. Those things is what we ought to highlight.
But if company A buys 30 million worth of electricity today, and ECG takes the money and tells the company that because of the reduction, I will refund this 30 million cedis on 1st of April. Is it fair?
No, they're not saying they are refund. They are going to give you the credit. I mean,
yes, but it's the same thing. You have taken my money and you give me back my money in 2 weeks.
I've already told you that. I've already told you that. I mean, left with all of us. These things people should. And I see it's only for one particular system that they are running, prepaid customers. But in terms of other individuals who are enjoying it, it kicks in right away. But
that's not fair. I'll get Samaba to speak later. I think that the system will be running. ECG knew long ago that this system was going to start. You don't need to take consumers' money.
Government, this has been the system.
It is not a matter of who is in
let's
government.
highlight the government and the president's commitment, which is being exemplified through this process by making sure that we reduce cost of production. Because that has been an underlying factor to reduce. Because remember when we were in opposition, we spoke about the fact that people or Ghanaians were paying expensive bills, electricity tariffs, and what they're paying was even more than the rent they're supposed to pay.
Okay.
And what it is
I'm grateful.
We are
Rachel, I'm grateful.
With our promise to
let me get Johnny in quickly before Mr. Malba comes in. Johnny, good morning once again.
And they take our money, will they give us interest? That's the point. Good morning, TV3. Our stakeholders in our communities are the cause of all these mess because some chiefs receive monies from the Fulani men. They support them in any trouble they cause. So it's all about the chiefs and their pockets and their subordinates. Hussein from Gushegu. Good morning, TV3. The runaway approach by Procurement Minister Honorable Ajua Safo is a worrying situation for me. This tells us that most of the ministries created by this substandard MPP government is nothing but a duplication of roles. And if I may add, moribund and a complete waste of scarce resources. Is this the competence the NPP preached in the run-up to the 2016 elections? You are asking Daniel Ali to attain President Jerapa NTC. From Dr. Abedi Kwadaso, a.k.a. Big Shoes. Good morning, champion host. We thank God that Dr. Puni has faced 27 charges over 217 million cedis fraud. Once witches can appear and disappear, it may be an option for the NDC, which is because the hunter is still loading his gun. If they are not a witch, then why do they fear the witch hunter? Every penny must be retrieved. Thank you very much there. And good morning, New Day. The Operation Vanguard are failing to achieve their aims because most MPs and government officials sitting have Galamsey sides. The laws governing the Galamsey isn't strong enough. Immigration should be involved in Operation Vanguard for deportation of their Chinese. I don't like the fact that you're just focusing on Chinese. One caught on the site. There should be a drone center to monitor the operations of these Galamseyers and should be operated at the district levels. Mystic inside the Swama Drudgery says, greetings to you and your crew. Mr. Puni or Dr. Puni still remains a suspect until he's proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt by a competent court of jurisdiction. So let's all comrades remain calm and let's see how it goes. Galamsey is actively going on. The Operation Vanguard guys are taking bribe and allowing them to mine. That is a strong allegation. I'm highly excited that our laws are being enforced to retrieve every dime that has been taken or mismanaged from our scanty public purse. Dr. Puni's case should be a cause of worry to all dubious and shady deals that have been orchestrated by past and present government officials. Indeed, people have been raped our resources and funds mercilessly. Thank you very much. Reynolds Agona Dobbing. I've always advocated for laws that will bite and deal ruthlessly with offenders without fear or favor. I don't want to sound prejudicial in the charges leveled against Dr. Stephen Opuni, but I seriously feel sorry for him and his family. How can he exonerate himself in the plethora of charges leveled against him? Ghana is going to be interesting. Thank you very much, Christy Reynolds. Walanyo and Akutia says, though I'm Christian, but I beg to differ that if the whole religious leaders in the country come on board to have national prayers and fasting for Dr. Stephen Opuni and the two persons, and they hire all the competent lawyers in the world to deal to their defense, how could they exonerate all the 27 charges filed against them? Well, Bonti Benjamin Echemabuakwa says the NDC is against prosecution of Dr. Oponi and Seydou Adongo. Then clearly they don't have Ghana at heart, and their talk on the fight against corruption in the country is a joke. Ghana deserves better. Mr. President, can we no longer be patient? We can no longer be patient. We need our regional minister back, Mr. Suleiman Al-Hassan, back, Mr. President. The committee said to investigate the matter has done its work and clear the minister of any wrongdoing. Why then are people holding the report? Those people are nation wreckers who never want to see the success of others. And Mr. President, their behavior and attitude will lead to your downfall if you don't wake up from your sleep. Wake up and be smart, politician. We know you to be not a power drunk person. Daniel Upper West is worried about that. Fulani Chiefs, okay, we read this already. The Akufo-Addo and Bawumia-led administration have missed the opportunity to restore their credibility by starting with the prosecution of its corrupt officials, Joseph Boga Central Market. And finally, good morning, the host. Procurement Minister is not competent. She should resign. Why should the 28.8 million saga be referred to the finance minister? This means they are going to create loot and share. The issue must be thoroughly investigated because these two ministers, together with the president, are going to bring the country down. They are incompetent to occupy positions. Tanko, Abubakar, and Shukura. JD Soham says 27 charges against Dr. Oponi is laudable. Operation Retrieve All Monies. Building Ghana Beyond Aid. Hashtag Operation Retrieve All Stolen Monies. I rest my case. Regards. Okay, you say Kamal Ding is your friend. Thank you very much.
Right. Johnny, I'm grateful. Mr. Malba, quickly. Now, the story about the ECG thing says that Mr. Samuel Boachi Appiah is asking customers to note that the reduction is on energy consumption only, adding that the addition of the statutory levies and other fixed charges would reduce the average percentage relief that was announced by the PURC. That's the story in the Ghanaian Times. First, the shifting date, and then the fact that ECG is telling us today that the average relief announced will be reduced because there are certain charges that he says are fixed and are statutory levies.
I want to address my brother. You see, it's not always as a communicator that you must defend the indefensible. In this one, it was clear that consumers were told you will start enjoying the reduction on 15th March, which is today.
That's true.
Now, we are being told by the EC that
the ECG
that even though it is taking effect from today, listen to their language, even though it is taking effect from today, but it will take effect in April.
Our money should be taken and refunded.
No, I've just summarized what they are saying. So you see the contradiction. Even though it's taking effect from today, but consumers, it will take effect from April. And I asked the question, didn't PURC, didn't the ECG know that they have a system, which system wouldn't have allowed the enjoyment of the tariffs today? Did they just come from somewhere? Did they just come from Mars to start operating the machines? So why don't you tell the people the truth? That is where my statement of a government that does not tell the people the truth comes in. And so, look, that's the government we voted for. Unfortunately, we have to continue to be with them till 2020. But on the issue of the reductions, we have indicated to the PURC to give us the exact figures. Now, we are told that the reduction is on the energy consumption component of the entire gamut of components that make up the bill. So, how much is it? The reduction will give us what percentage? And they are still keeping this close to their chest, as if this is something that if you release it, it will affect the national security of this country. So we would go to the to what was the place? The name of those places? The kiosks,
the vendors,
the vendors,
the power vendors.
And then when we buy in April, we will see the amount of reduction. 17% of what? 17%. How much does it come to? Why is it that for close to 2 weeks this information is not coming? Is it again the issue of a government lying to its people? We wait to see.
I'm grateful. Over the years, in terms of salary negotiations, sometimes we start negotiation and it gets to like November, and they tell you that you should take retrospective.
So we pay arrears.
Arrears too.
But that is not the norm.
But that has been the practice.
So they will tell you. But Richard, is it fair we continue this?
They will let you know.
Is it fair? Richard, let me ask you this. ECG said that those of us who live in Dansoman areas, that some time ago we could not buy power because of a system failure. We were told that the power ECG was going to reimburse us. Today, as I'm talking to you now, I haven't had any. You take my money today and refund the money in 2 weeks. You won't pay me interest. Is this fair? This is not fair with ECG.
You have concerns and you think
what
monies have not been refunded to you in terms of
ECG is not being fair to
but you see, government has done what the people desire.
Yes, government has done its work, but ECG is failing to failing
consumers. To impress upon them to make sure that consumers get the needed reprieve. But I think my brother should be happy because you see, now his pocket is going to be saved with
that is true.
I mean, the stress that he was getting from family members and others in terms of school fees and all that, free education kicked in, and now he's making some saving.
Okay, all right.
4,000.
Richard, I'm grateful.
Every semester, every term, and he's happy about it.
I am
he's
grateful.
Enjoying.
Richard Asansi is a member of the MPP's communication team. Abraham Maliba is a member of the NDC's communication team. Gentlemen, grateful for your time with us. If you send your comment, we'll read the rest later. Stay with us. Sports is up next. The world marks World Consumer Day today. Now, I'm sure that for you as a consumer, you're concerned about some of your rights and perhaps the responsibilities that you owe to the marketplace. This year, the theme is on digital marketplace, how to make it safer and fair. I've been joined by lawyer Bobby Bankson, who will help us look at the legal perspectives. And of course, Daniel Sapon is head of digital strategy sales at the Tonaton.com. Gentlemen, welcome. Good morning. And how are we doing? Happy World Consumer Day to all of us. Do you feel safe and happy as a consumer counsel? I'll start with you.
Because I was having this discussion with a friend of mine who was visiting the country from Amsterdam, and definitely in Ghana we have a different culture. Service providers are not up to scratch, and if you complain, you're tagged as too known or wannabe or something like that. So it's difficult, but I'm sure we will get there.
Daniel, why is it usually so that when as consumers we complain to those of you who have the marketplace, then you say we are too known, we are being too legalistic, how much are we buying, and all of that, knowing that the customer is king?
Yeah.
Why is that so?
Okay, so sometimes it's basically because of lack of enough education on the e-commerce or digital platforms. So basically, most people are don't sometimes feel safe on the site because they feel like, you know, the usual Ghanaian mentality. I'm going to pay something online. Am I going to get the goods? Is it going to be delivered well? So sometimes some brands are not able to take care of that part. Okay. So for example, I can talk for Tonaton.com, for example. So we ensure that cash is taken on delivery. And if they're good, maybe you look at it, you think that maybe I don't want this phone or maybe I don't want this brand, we take it back with no cost and you keep your money.
Right.
So the platforms and the various brands must just make sure and put in various strategies and measures to make sure that, consumers feel safe on various sites.
Counsel, speaking about safety and making it fair, I know there are so many laws that we can talk about. There's the civil society organizations, NGOs, consumer protection agencies around and everything else. How does that impact on the safety and the fairness of the marketplace, for example? So the laws are there, and so what?
You know, interestingly, the civil societies that focus on promoting consumer protection and safety, they have no statutory backing
Okay.
So if the Consumer Protection Agency, a consumer who is not happy goes to the Consumer Protection Agency. Okay. The Consumer Protection Agency writes to the service provider. The service provider tells the Consumer Protection Agency, well, we don't care who you are. You cannot do anything to us.
You have no locus.
You have no locus. That's what. It ends there. The consumer would have to go to court, not the Consumer Protection Agency. They are only an advocacy group with no statutory backing. That is the situation as it is.
Okay.
But if the consumer is well knowledgeable of what the law says, the rights that he or she has, especially in this era of digital purchases and all that. In fact, I was just reviewing the law last night. Then I realized there are a lot of provisions that we take for granted.
Okay. Which, for example?
For instance, when, under the normal Sale and Purchase Act at common law, the Contract Act, the 1961, when the product is delivered to you and you accept it upon delivery, to be very difficult to return it.
Right.
Unless it's very, very fundamental.
Okay.
But under the Electronic Transactions Act, which governs digital purchase, and this law was passed in 2008.
Right.
Which governs digital sale and purchase. Unless the parties agree, when it is sold to you, you have up to 14 days.
To return it if you don't like it?
Yes.
How many people know this?
It's very interesting. they have very, very interesting provisions. And for those, your listeners and the viewers who want to read it, it's the Electronic Transactions Act 2008, Act 772, and sections 47 to 54 apply to electronic transactions.
Right.
And they have very, very far-reaching consequences. There's a grace period of 14 days within which you can, accept products. And even states that if the supplier is outside Ghana, once you are receiving the product here, Ghanaian law applies.
So I'm asking this question. Basic contract or simple contract says offer, acceptance,
exactly.
In between there's consideration.
Yes.
And maybe
that is the common law position.
Beautiful. So how do we tie that in with this particular one?
In our legal regime or jurisprudence, when common law, so if you look at the Article 11 of the 1992 Constitution, which states the hierarchy of laws. So we have the Constitution as the first one. We have Acts of Parliament as the second one. And then common law.
Right.
So the common law provision is what you've stated, offer, acceptance. Once you receive it, and there's any fault that you ought to have seen and you didn't see immediately, you would have deemed to have waived your right. But this is a statutory provision, which is making an exception to the common law position. And so when there is that conflict, the statutory provision overrides the common law position. And there are very, very interesting provisions in the electronic transactions.
Daniel, let me come to you now. So we're trying to do a digital thing. Everybody is suggesting that we do paperless. And your brand is leading the charge, along with others. How does this sit with you, for example? I see something on Tonaton. I make the order, they deliver it. I think I don't like it. I want to take it back. And the person who put it says, somebody about order. How does that apply?
Okay, so on Tonaton, we have 2 ways of, buying, basically. So individuals say you want to sell your phone and he decides to buy it. So for that one, we just, we are more like the channel or the link between the buyer and the seller. So transactions don't happen on the site. So that's between you and the seller. But then in cases where you buy from Tonaton directly, because we also have a marketplace, so buy from Tonaton directly. Once your goods and the goods that we delivered, you've not destroyed them, they are not in use, it's in perfect condition, there is that possibility that we'll take it.
But then, so if I buy from, if council puts something up there and I see it, I'm interested, I make the order through you, and then he...
No, so with that one, you don't make the order through us. So because he put it there, his contact and everything will be there. So
but it was on your platform. It was set on your altar. So if
there are statutory provisions...
How does this particular law sit with this whole arrangement?
If I may read, for those who have these platforms, so like you're saying, Tonaton, you don't sell directly most of the time. Section 47 states that the electronic platform where the goods or services are offered shall have the following information. The full name and legal status, physical address, website,
membership of any self-regulatory body, a code of conduct, the registration number of office bearers, sufficient description of the main characteristics, full price, the manner of payment, the terms of agreement, the time within which delivery will be made, the refund exchange policies, alternative dispute resolutions. And if you, as the platform operator, you breach any of these provisions, the consumer has a right to reject it. So it's not enough that you have a platform, you let somebody put whatever he wants to sell there, and then you say you only have a platform. You must have all these things on the site.
So thank you, Council, so how does that make it fair and easier to transact business as the International World Marks World Consumer Rights Day?
Okay, sure. So with this, so I didn't finish basically with, so we have the members or the businesses we work with. So we've actually had instances like that. So with the, as they post on the site, we have their contact, we have their shops, we have their contact details, anything they are selling. And we even do, we put measures in place to make sure that the product
So if Council sells this bottle of water to me, he posts it, I see it, I like it, I get information, I call him, we do the transaction, we get there and I find out, oh, it is not what he says it is, but I've paid for it already and I took it home. Within 14 days, are you able to mediate so that he takes it back and gives me my money?
Yes, so as I said, with the members, so we work with them personally. So even though they are adverts on the site, we know everything about them. We have signed contracts with them. So sometimes we come, I mean, as mediator to help. And sometimes, I mean, we've had situations like that where someone, he bought an iPhone, like, okay, I don't want this iPhone. So because we know the member, we have their contact details. We just go like, okay, this wasn't the kind he was looking for. So, I mean, all that was put in place just to make sure that the consumer is also satisfied, not just the buyer.
Tell me, in Ghana as we speak, what does the digital space, market space look like? In terms of shares? 60-40, 70-30, 20-80, what is it? What does it look like?
Okay, so before that, I would like to go into the internet penetration in Ghana, basically. I mean, digital has really been growing in Ghana. As of 2000, we had just 0.2% of internet penetration in Ghana. And just last year, 2017, that's 34.7%. That is how much digital is really growing in Ghana and digital space. So currently, I mean, there are a lot of digital platforms in Ghana. I mean, even marts even have online shops now. So currently, I can speak for Tonaton now. So currently, in terms of classifieds and e-commerce, we are #1. We are Ghana's largest marketplace. But then there are also some.
It's not about you being number one. I'm asking on a general view.
On the general view.
Overview.
If you take an overview.
Are we making those inroads and making progress?
Yes.
To say that, okay, the digital space in the next 5 years will take over and that I will not have to go and carry money if I want to buy a GTB cloth at Mokola, but I can sit on my with my computer, type it, and get somebody to bring it to me.
I mean, digital is the future.
We've heard that before, Council, haven't you?
Yes, digital is the future.
It's about the reality on the ground.
Yeah, the reality on the ground is that as of now, for example, if you want to sell your car, you get it. Going around driving everywhere trying to get a buyer is very difficult. You take like 3 to 6 months. But then you post it now and there are hundreds of thousands of people in Ghana currently looking for a car. They all see it, you get your buyer and it's done. So it's gradually growing, and in the next 5 to 10 years, I mean, most of transactions will be done digitally.
Council, this presents a unique opportunity. Let's look at taxation, because we want to go Ghana beyond aid for transactions like this. What does the law say?
That, in fact, as you were speaking, that is what was crossing my mind. How does the state benefit
from these transactions?
It's not the tax regimes fall squarely in the hands of the tax agency, which is the GRA, to follow and monitor. That is their biggest downfall. So if they don't have that capacity to follow all these sales that go on digitally, and like you said, they are only a platform. At the end of the year, Tonaton would only declare profits per the commission they receive from sales on their platform. The people who sell it, whether or not they would track, the GRA would have a way of tracking the profits that they've made or the capital gains, as it were, from the sale. Is something that Tonaton will not, they can use Tonaton database.
Do you help the GRA to track these members of yours?
Yes.
Do you help the GRA to, for example, aside you play your corporate responsibility, do you help the GRA to take something small from them?
So as and when is necessary. So I mean, we have the contact and all the details.
Every sale is a profit. So
it may be that I don't, because it's likely not
every product put on your platform, Tonaton is aware that a sale has taken place.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not every product.
Not every product.
Because the people would have still sold and would not have taken it off the platform.
Or they will not declare.
They will not declare. And that is a weakness with the system.
Right.
Because if it is sold...
But does the law cure that?
No, the Transactions Act only governs the sale and purchase.
Okay.
It's the Internal Revenue Act, the GRA Administration Act. But our act as it stands now relies more on voluntary declarations.
Right. I thank you, Lawyer Bansing. You have the final word. How do we make the platforms, the digital marketplaces safe? 30 seconds. How do we make it safe? Advise somebody out there.
So basically, I think before you even buy anything digitally, I mean, don't send money to someone you don't know. Before you buy something, make sure you have seen the product before you buy it, and make sure that you don't have any form of transaction online whilst you are not. It's not a trusted brand. Basically, that's in a general perspective.
I thank you very much. Lawyer Bobby Bansing is a legal practitioner, of course, and is being joined by Daniel Sapon. He is the head of digital strategy sales at tonaton.com. This is a conversation we had regarding how to make the digital marketplace fairer and safer as we mark International Consumer Rights Day. We're back with some more here on NewDay.
Welcome back. So let's talk about health, but in an interesting way, because oftentimes when we just give it to you as information, it sounds boring. But there's a lady who has lived through it all and is telling it through documentaries. I'll be speaking to Nikita Dede Ajirako. She's a junior fellow at Bayreuth International Graduate School of African Studies in Germany. Good morning, dear.
Good morning.
And how are you doing?
Fine today, thank you.
Great. But tell me about 1,000 Needles, which is the documentary you've made. Tell me what inspired it, why you decided to even do it as a documentary instead of just writing a piece.
So 1,000 Needles is, like you said, it's on women's health. And it's based on my life story. Since I was 13, I've had different underlying issues that have been related to my sexual and reproductive health. So I thought to use a film or a documentary because it's so visual and people relate more to what they see and what they feel and what they experience, and that's what film does for you. Also, with the title 1,000 Needles, I wrote a poem about how I felt, and a lot of people were quite confused because people asked, is it cancer? Did you have an abortion? And I felt, okay, to make people understand, a film works because they can experience what I experienced through the art of film.
Right, but what got you attracted to even speaking about it? Because oftentimes people will keep this kind of personal information to themselves rather than sharing it with the world.
I actually got inspired because it seems to me that at this point a lot of women are speaking up about the things that they're going through. But also I got very frustrated with the way my health was being compromised, I believed, because there was such a lack of information, such a lack of knowledge, that even when you did go to the hospitals, you know, the information you got from doctors were very different. And I got frustrated because what you find online is different, what people tell you is different, and you begin not to know who to believe and who to trust. I spoke to a couple of other women who had similar issues, and they also had the same problem. And I thought something must be done. There must be enough research into our lives because we're important. So something must be done about how we feel, especially if this is something that is not making us as women healthy and at full strength.
Right, but how did this health status affect you in general? Say your relationship, your career?
So my biggest symptom is chronic pelvic pain, which means I have flare-ups. I have pain flare-ups all of the time. So when you have pain, you can't really, you know, do much. You can't leave your house. It's very debilitating. Also, it makes you exhausted. And so for a while, even with school, for example, it was very difficult for me to go to class. I was missing a lot of classes. There are some exams I even wrote in the hospital because I'd either passed out. I had spent a lot of nights in the hospital getting morphine just to have, some rest and some peace. With friendships, for example, it's very difficult because it's hard to explain all the time what's going on with you. And this is not malaria. Now, when you have malaria, you take pills, you're fine. And especially in Ghana, people seem to understand malaria very well because you take something, 5 days, you're fine. But this is something that is always there. And also issues, something like endometriosis, which we talk about, doesn't have a cure. So if you have endometriosis, you're always going to have this issue. And people just don't understand what it means to have something that is chronic. And for me, that was what's very important.
Okay, so I'll touch on the health, systems in the various places, because you've had the opportunity of living not only in Ghana, but also in Germany and probably in Tanzania as well. So tell me, along the line, how did you feel the health system impacted on your health in these various places? And how would that help Ghana eventually?
Actually, I would say that the best doctor I had was actually Ghanaian.
Great.
So that was very great for me. I had surgery here in Ghana. I've never had surgery outside of Ghana. But what I figured out, or what I found out, was that the way that hospitals approach these issues are very different. For example, in Germany, for me, it was either you take the pill or you don't, the birth control pill, or you don't take the birth control pill. It's very difficult to be a woman in Germany without having leeway, like, are you taking it or not? And so every treatment has to relate to one of these things. In Ghana, I did a lot of doctor shopping. I went around and found a lot of doctors before I settled on one. Here, and I told you, I started having these issues since I was 13. And I remember being 18, 19 and being told, well, you have to have a child. You're a woman, have a child. And I wanted to have a procedure at some point, and because I felt this would solve my pain. Pain was my problem. And I remember the doctor telling me, yeah, but your future husband will want kids, so it doesn't matter what you want. And I remember being so offended at the idea that I am in pain right now.
And you don't seem to matter.
I don't matter at all. And it's not even whether I want to have kids or not. It's what my future husband wants. And this is not something that I, for example, have in Germany or even in Tanzania. It wasn't such a big issue. But here, fertility was really the biggest thing. And it was the approach that every doctor took, which is not a problem. It becomes a problem when my needs are then pushed aside for what somebody else who I don't know, I haven't met once, for example. The new trend in Germany now is a lot of people are, vegan or natural, or and alternative medicine, which in Ghana, will be herbal medicine. So it's very interesting to see this come back to what in Ghana would be traditionally done. So there are quite some differences, but it's really the same way,
Anyway, but let's touch on the 1,000 Needle documentary. When is it airing? Where? How much?
It's free. I'll start with that. It's free. It airs tomorrow at 5 p.m. at the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences. So after the screening, which is a 30 minutes documentary, we're going to have a panel discussion. We're going to have women who have these experiences speak up. We're going to have doctors to give us facts. We're going to have community health workers to tell us about how other women feel. We're going to have spouses talking about how this has affected their lives and their children. Then on Saturday at 4 p.m., we're at Liberia Ghana, which is a new library in West Legon, Palmer House. Next to it's in Westlands, around the West Legon police station. But on Saturday, it's a smaller screening. We're looking particularly for women who have these issues to come and talk, because we want to create a network. I want to know which doctor you see, so that maybe if that works for me, I see that doctor. So Friday, Saturday, it's free both days. And anyone can come.
Well, thank you so much, Nikita, for joining us. I have been speaking to Nikita today at Jurako on her documentary airing tomorrow, 1,000 Needles. She's talking about women and our sexual and reproductive health and how that affects us as human beings and also impacts on our health in general. So do join her tomorrow and Saturday as she does this. Thank you so much once again. But we have more for you here on New Day. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Anyway, what happens in the bedroom stays in the bedroom, but we are here on air, and thank you as usual for joining us, because we can't do this without you for giving us the leading viewership in Ghana. But tell me, what do you have for us?
I was looking for tilapia, but before tilapia loads, this is what I found. I found
is that rice?
Yes, blue rice.
Did they dye it with the blue we used to wash white
maybe blueberry rice, I don't know, but
blueberry doesn't even come out this blue. It's scary.
This is Omona Wale blue.
I mean, there's some innovations I'll be very skeptical to, indulge in.
But this won't be bad, though. I mean, with local rice, if you try local rice, local chicken.
But local rice from brown to blue.
Yeah, it's good. But when I'm going into a weekend, I love a lot more local stuff, like the banku,
the fufu,
the ampesi, the rest.
I was trying to look at what tilapia has for us.
He had an interesting one about the stone boy,
Shatawali, he had bulldog. One. Tilapia. Okay, let's check out. I think that
okay, so there it is.
This is tilapia has one. It says what? The wahala of cocoa, cratchy. It looks how about my belly? So that's charges. I can't see what is written there. By somebody who has a runny tummy is sweating.
Okay, the Bole Guest House.
Alarm,
kickbacks,
Bole Guest
Foot soldiers.
Fertilizer, contract.
Yeah, Charlie.
Oh, everything is being put
on. Be serious. Okay, and then I think he has another one. The Bulldog apology for Stoneboy. So this one looks like Bulldog.
Yep.
And the artist manager. This is Nana Pia Mensah of Xylophone kneeling down. That's Stoneboy there with folded arms is certainly not taking the apology.
He's not happy.
That's Shatawale with Kumi guitar. Why is Kumi's stomach so big? I don't know. Well, this one too says what? On Mampenyi house, pa, there be no fine. People are pounding fufu and bathing for their kids. And oh my God. Tilapia is, you know, just go on to 3news.com and check out what Tilapia has. Yeah. Tilapia has a lot of stuff happening there.
And we're still in the Wear Ghana, Eat Ghana, See Ghana, and Speak Ghanaian.
And by popular, yes, this one is.
Yeah, solid.
Today is Watch It Day.
You know, there are some things that I see traditional and it can't be changed. Yeah. When I see people eating Watch It from leaves with, you know, cutlery.
Yeah.
I wonder where they dropped from. Some things just cannot be changed.
Modification.
Oh, no. Some modifications don't happen in Ghana. You have to eat these things with your hands.
You should.
That's the best. So that when you finish, the smell is still there. You see the brown things in your nails, then you know that, yep, you just finished.
This is it.
Correct.
This is it. This looks good. So this, but is this salmon or tuna? What is it?
I think it's
looks like tuna.
Doctor, is this
fufu? Well, the size of the fufu is.
This is not fufu. This is kokonte.
It looks more like. I thought it was kokonte, but I'm being tempted.
Well, these days the chop bars don't add a lot of plantain.
Exactly,
to the fufu,
so you can't even tell.
Yeah.
But the size, the portion control, this should be about half the fufu, and then you can have for the person eating it. No, for a well-grown 70-kilo adult.
Like me.
Yeah.
I'll eat half of this one.
Yep.
Why?
With a lot of. What do you mean by why? That's portion.
Is there famine in Ghana?
There's famine in your stomach. If you want to stay healthy, you need to eat healthy.
Can you hear the young lady?
What is Amma saying? If I'm going to dig a trench, a 2-kilometer long trench.
You dig trenches here.
Why would I want to?
The work you do you dig any trench?
Okay, Amma. So what about this one? This one is.
Is it a cake?
It's not coming. No, it's not cake. It's yam.
Yam with
it's not coming up. I don't know why. Yeah,
right?
It's not coming up. Let's do. This is
again.
So this is not good.
The quantity is too much.
Palm wine, 1 calabash of palm wine is too much.
Yes. This calabash is a huge calabash.
It is not.
It should be a very small one.
This is a zoomed.
I should call Akoto the girls to come and assess all these. He's the calorie expert.
Okay, how about this one?
Still.
So those who drink like 2 calabashes of palm wine is not good?
No.
Oh.
Ghana, I mean, obviously we don't understand too much when it comes to portion control because the amount we eat in a plate. We often buy big plates, but you're supposed to buy a small, almost like a saucer size, and that will, you know, tempt you to reduce the amount of food you eat because the brain starts to recognize that this is only the amount you take all the time and it adapts to that size.
Okay, so what's your argument?
What's your argument? What do you know?
What's your argument? But I'm the doctor here. What I say.
Yeah, you are the doctor. When we get sick, we'll come to you.
No, don't get sick. That's the thing. We are planning preventive.
But if we don't get sick, we'll come to you. How will you get money to?
I'll be doing checkup.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
On the mountain.
So the guy who goes to harvest the full gallon of palm wine, he's asking people to drink half of the calabash. How would he sell it?
He should sell it to more people.
But if the village is small,
no, he should get people in neighboring villages to come and buy.
Go to the mountains.
The weekend is coming. We're planning the mountains to do some.
I just don't mind you.
Heavy fufu and palm wine. You are talking.
I'll go. I'll pray and fast for you. That God should cancel. The cassava should be scarce in that time.
All right. We are putting you into a weekend mood. Tomorrow is Friday. Wrapping up. Fantastic. Do it a grand start. So it means I do all the work you have to do at the office today, so that tomorrow you can wrap up in grand style.
Sure.
Put yourself into the weekend mood. Some rest after some 5 days of hustle.
Absolutely. And if it's your birthday today, enjoy your birthday.
Yes, that reminds me. It's the birthday of some twins. My beautiful, beautiful friends, Phyllis. Well, you're married now, so you're Owusu Echao and Philippa. Well, we're all Frimpong. So Phyllis and Philippa Frimpong. Yes, happy birthday to you guys. We love you. Yes, they are. Phyllis and Philippa.
The other one,
they are twins.
The other one is not married.
They're both married, but I can't remember their husband's name. So
they're both married to the same.
No, they have different partners. Yes.
If it's your birthday today, happy birthday to you, and thank you to Grandpa. He made this. Somebody told me this is called Sparrow Productions. I don't believe it anymore.
This is Anumentu Obuada.
What does it mean?
That's the name of the bird doesn't fly. It will.
That's the name of the club.
Is that what ex-President Rollins says? Anumentu Obuada.
Yeah, that's it.
No, but what is Obuada? If Wentua.
Obuada means if you don't, you go to bed empty.
Right. Okay. So he doesn't go and look for food. He will go.
No pain, no gain.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
Okay, we'll see you tomorrow. Absolutely. Be good. Enjoy your day.